Hey everybody, today is Holy Saturday. It's the day before we celebrate Easter and celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. I'm very excited. I hope that all of you will be tuning in with us for our Easter worship service live stream tomorrow morning. But today we are continuing our study of Hosea. And actually, our passage today has so much to say to us the day before we gather for our worship service. And so if you've been following along in our study of Hosea, it's been a wild ride. You probably know that God's people have been living in wickedness and sin. They've run away from God. And so God calls Hosea, his prophet, to do this like ridiculous thing to show his people their wickedness, but also how great his love is for them. And so he asks Hosea to marry this prostitute, and she continues to play the whore and runs after other lovers. And God tells Hosea to continue to go after her and to pursue her. And it's just this strange but beautiful picture of God's love for his people. And so we get to chapter 5, and we're in chapters 5, 6, and 7 today. But we get to chapter 5, and God is just, talking about the coming judgment for his people. And then we get to chapter 6, and at the beginning of chapter 6, there's this really beautiful call to worship that comes from the lips of the Israelite people. But as we keep reading the rest of chapter 6 and chapter 7, we realize that this was just lip service from God's people, that they had the right words for worship, but they weren't actually engaged in the worship in their hearts. And so that brings me to a couple of the questions that we have for you today. And one of them is kind of like, hey, do you ever just kind of go through the motions in worship? Just kind of mouthing words maybe when you're singing, but not actually meaning them. And like, yeah, I do. Plenty. And sometimes, we sing and we don't have to mean what we sing every single time we sing. Sometimes it's good for us to just read the creeds and read the scriptures and sing the songs. But if the majority of our time, it's just words coming out of our mouths and we don't actually mean it, then we're just like God's people here in the book of Hosea. And so kind of the challenge to us today, and really to me and hopefully to you, is like the day, this is Holy Saturday, the day before Easter. What steps can you take to engage in worship tomorrow on Easter of all Sundays, to make sure that you are engaged not just with the words in your mouth, but also with your mind and your heart. And I know for me, like I have to really stop and focus and prepare. So many times I just go through my week and I get to Sunday, I'm like, it's time for church. And that's okay. Sometimes you still go to church and we should still, participate in worship. But how much better it is for me when I pause, throughout the week, but especially the day before on Saturday. And I think about what my week has been like, and I think about my need for God, and I think about my need for worship, my need to hear the word preached, and my need to be reminded of the gospel. And so my prayer is that is what today is like for you as you're reading these chapters, as you think about Easter and the resurrection of Jesus. I pray that you would spend today pausing, praying, searching your heart, asking for God to prepare you for the worship service tomorrow, and then tune in with us 10 a.m., all 3 of our Christ Pres locations all across the city, and let's celebrate Jesus together. It's an amazing thing for us as Christians to say that he is risen, and so excited to celebrate with you all tomorrow. All right.